Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's an author, coach, and a 4.5 million service business owner, no other than Mr. Chad Murray.
Hi, Daniel. Nice to have you be on here. I'm really excited to talk about my book today.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Chad, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I am a poor guy that grew up in a trailer court that learned through ambition how really to make your own way in life and start your own business. And my book is really about how I came from nothing. I mean, that's the whole point. I wasn't given anything ever in my life. I am self-made, and I grew a business through making a ton of mistakes, learning through the mistakes. And one of the
Yes.
reasons I became a business coach and why I wrote the book was because I don't want everybody to make these mistakes I did.
People don't afraid to commit mistakes because in the process you will learn from it. Can you explain the meaning behind the intriguing title of your book?
Yeah, so the actual title, when you look at the title where it says Operation Entrepreneur Freedom, and you have the little side note that says it's time to go get yourself in trouble. That was going to be the original
Awesome.
title. It's time to get in trouble, because that's what I find really resonates with a lot of fearfulness in entrepreneurs, and they're just fearful to do something. So like, let's go get ourselves in trouble and we'll learn from it. And then as the time progressed, I tested the name. It wasn't really doing well. So I just came up with Operation Entrepreneur Freedom one day, and it tested off the charts. So that's how it came to be.
Can you explain the meaning behind the creation of the book itself?
Yeah. So, as I was running in my business and as everything was happening, I started to video or record, not video, but I started documenting by recording my voice about what had happened to me. And I started having this big, long log of my experiences, kind of like a video, like a recording diary of everything that I was doing right and wrong. And eventually it got to be so much. It's like, and I had the intention of maybe building a book out of it, but finally I got to the point where I got a book here, and I wanted to help people because I want them to learn from my mistakes. Because if I made these mistakes and you're starting a business, you're probably going to make a lot of these similar mistakes. And so I want people to jump over the mistakes, learn from them, so they can get to 5-10 million way faster than me.
I like that, Mr. Chad. In Operation Freedom, based on true events, fictional storytelling, or a mix of both?
It is 100% my life, and so there. I don't think there's any exaggerations. Now, I was told by my brother I got a couple years wrong, but other than that, when he read my book, he said that didn't
Yes.
happen that year, or and then my aunt said there was a little difference in one of the stories that she remembered. But for the most part, it's a truthful book about my life. And I start the book actually, I had a ghostwriter help me write it, because I'm very highly dyslexic, so I can talk a lot, but I'm not a good writer. And so he got all my recordings, and we worked for a year writing this book. And the funny thing about it is I didn't like the way he wrote my prologue, my introduction. And I was on a plane to go visit a buddy of mine in California, and he used to be a business coach of a client of mine. And we become really close friends. And he now has like a $12 million business that when we started, I helped him, really grow it. And we've just become real close. I went to visit him, and I thought it just came to me like God gave me a voice to write the prologue. So I wrote the prologue on the way to him about my two grandpas. And it's a really good opening, I feel, to the book.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Chad. And what does getting into trouble symbolize in the journey of characters?
Well, if you don't take a risk, if you're always going to sit there and have analysis paralysis and think about stuff, you're never going to really find out if you can do it. And you're going to keep thinking about stuff all the time. So the idea is to get yourself in your mindset of, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'm going to work through this. And then that's kind of the motto of how I coach. And so you can take a better calculated risk as you start getting some wisdom and making some mistakes. But sometimes you just got to do some dumb mistakes. You just got to do it. And and I hope in the book that I teach you to make less dumb mistakes. But let's face it, you're going to make them. So go get yourself in trouble.
Interesting caption, Mr. Chad. Interesting. How would you describe the overall tone of the book? Adventurous, rebellious, or humorous?
Oh, I don't know. It's definitely adventurous. It's definitely my life and some crazy stuff that I've done. It's. I hope it's entertaining for everybody because it is. It does start, when I'm a kid with my entrepreneur shoveling snow, at 7, 8 years old, and it's, as I grew up in the teenager years, and then when I finally went through the Army National Guard, then the Marine Corps, went to school, and then just couldn't work for other people. And so, not that I couldn't, I didn't want to. And then I started up my businesses and just started going from there.
What kind of trouble do you face, and how does it shape your growth?
Good question. I mean, a lot of the trouble is you just don't know what you're getting into, right? You don't know what you don't
Yes.
know, right? And so what you do is you fake it till you make it. And a lot of times when people are on that fake it to make it journey, you're going to make some really bad mistakes, right? And so, which honestly is okay, but that's what the book's for. If you read the book, hopefully you won't make some of these dumb mistakes that I did. Because I put some thought into it, and a lot of these dumb mistakes I've coached other people to not make. They were on the path to making the same really big bad mistakes and stuff like that. So I'll give you an example. Even though the internet's out there, a lot of companies don't exactly know how to pay their employees. Like, what's the actual pay
Yes.
system or structure? And I don't mean like how do you pay them, like how do you physically give them their check, but they don't know the Department of Labor laws. And I'm not going to get all law on here and attorney like type of stuff, but you got to know some core things of how to pay your person if they're going to be salary, if you're going to pay them hourly, are they going to be management? These three categories you have to define in your business. And then there's a structure way to pay each one. Now, there are options that you can pay them that way. I got that wrong and I got sued. It cost me about $250,000.
Mhm.
So, someone to know, okay, these are an hourly employee, they're under people, I'm going to pay them. Let's just say you decide to pay them commission. Well, if they're doing work, you still got to pay them overtime. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think, well, no, I'm paying them commission. Well, guess what? You still have to track their hours. And I had to learn that the hard way. I got myself in trouble. And by the way, I was always trying to figure out how to do it. Like, you can't. It is so badly spelled out on the internet and through the DOL how to pay people. You really have to find someone to tell you how to do it right, because you're going to do it wrong. There's so many big companies get overtime lawsuits and stuff like that because they even have attorneys trying to interpret the law. But when you're smaller, you got to know. Hopefully, at some point in time, and from the start is desirable. Is okay. This is an hourly person. I'm going to pay him hourly, and he's going to get overtime. This is a manager. I can work him to death, and I don't have to pay him overtime. But he had better manage two people, and he better be making $762 more a week. So these are all these little quirky little laws. So yeah, that's just a good example.
At least you learn from your mistake, Mr. Chad. And congratulations for sharing your knowledge to the world. Very well said. And what or was there a personal experience that influenced part of the story or
I
most
think
of it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about most of it, but one of my stories that I like to tell a lot is when I was in the basic training. So this is before I even started business, and so I had been an entrepreneur, had a few little side job type stuff, as a teenager and all, and then as an adolescent shoveling snow. But you don't really people don't realize leaders are not born. That is a myth. Leaders are come out of chaos. They come out of situations that happen that made them become a leader. And the, I have a story in the book about how I went from the ranks in basic training of the Army, from literally going into week 4, and the drill instructors didn't even know who I was. Literally asked me if I was in their unit, and of course I had been the whole time because I just did everything right. I just was doing everything right. Well, then I got promoted up to a squad leader, which was really cool, and then I ended up losing the squad leader position because I had some hidden tobacco and it got found. And I owned up to it, and they thought I was lying, just taking it for everything. So they never believed it was me, but they had to punish me. So I had to go do KP the next day, which is kitchen patrol, which was fine with me. It was a good day to do kitchen patrol because we were marching 15 miles and I got out of the march, which was great. But anyway, so as soon as I came back off of kitchen patrol, they had marched out to what's called bivouac, going out in the field for a week, in the tents with a battle buddy and all that kind of stuff with your squad and platoon. And I got back, and one of the things that happened is, if you're going to be a leader or you're going to be even a follower, you've got to learn to listen, do everything right, and just you got to trust who's teaching you, right? And so one day it had just rained. It was like the next day or so. Now, at this time, I'm not a squad leader anymore. I'm just a normal guy, normal private there. And we come up to this big puddle, and our drill sergeant, later I was in the Marine Corps. That's another story in the book. But anyway, we get to this puddle. Now, drill instructors are dressed, pressed, nice. And one of their mottos is I would never do anything, never tell you to do something that I wouldn't do. And he looks at that puddle and goes, "Everybody jump in." And then he jumps in. And he's just kind of like in a movie, in this puddle and mud and everything else. And nobody jumped in, not one soul but me. I was the only person that jumped in. And he looks around, he sees Private Murray, and he starts going crazy on everybody. Get in here and all that kind of stuff. When we get done, he forms up a formation. We're like, just like a movie. We're soaking wet, muddy, all in formation. And he yells out, "Private Murray, come here." And I go out in front of him, and he yells to another, who's my squad leader. "My squad leader, come here." He rips off the stripes off of the squad leader, tells him to go away, and he gives them to me and says, "You're now the squad leader." And so then that happens, and then it wasn't a day or two later I became platoon leader, and the rest of the whole time, the next 4 weeks, I graduated as a platoon guide, which, by the way, is nearly impossible to do when you're there. So you graduate with the honors of being a platoon guide, which you don't get any more pay or anything, but I did, and I got told by when we were graduating. I got brought in the office with all the squad leaders. The drill instructors, drill sergeants. They put me in a room that day of graduation, and they said, "You're the only one that's ever gone 4 weeks as a platoon guide that we've ever had." Pretty cool. And why did I make it like that? Good leadership. I was given tasks. I delegated correctly, and I really learned how to be a leader from that day forward. And it really carried me on to really build a business because I used that same kind of that same type of mindset when I would hire people, and it really did work.
Congratulations, Mr. Todd, for being a leader. How do you define true freedom in the context of Operation Freedom?
Great. So when building a business, you don't want to build a job, right? You do not want to build a job for yourself. And so when you're building a business, you want to build that business to where it doesn't rely on you. And that can mean many things. That could mean that you're not the one opening the doors. That could mean you can go on vacation for a long time and the business still operates. Or it could mean you're like me, where I don't even have an office at my service business. I don't work there. Now, I still do help hire the sales guys, and I do 2 sales meetings a week. but I don't have an office there. I do it through Zoom. They all have to show up on Tuesdays, and I show up on Thursdays. But that's what I'm saying. You got to get the business to where it doesn't rely on you. And so that is a very hard thing for service businesses. And by the way, I can coach anybody. And I specialize in service businesses, painters, landscapers, chimney sweeps, window washers, maid services, all the home services type stuff. But I've also coached an attorney. I've coached a pharmacist. So I've coached many things outside of the service industry because running a business is the same. And so, but the freedom of it, I mean, my attorney I coached, he didn't want to be in court anymore. He wanted to literally show up, collect the money, hire, look at some cases, and leave. So I coached him into that. I coached him for 6 months. So he didn't know the systems to build to get there, And so that's again, you don't know what you don't know. And so nobody trains you in college, in high school, how to run a business, right? Yes. So it's something that you have to learn on your own or skip the learning hardships and hire a mentor or a coach.
And how does your book balance action, emotion, and deeper philosophical ideas?
Well, at the end of every chapter, we have what's called the toolbox. We may have skipped a couple chapters. For the most part, at the end of the chapter, we have a little section called toolbox. And what that does is it defines my story of how you can implement it into your business. And so it really helps. So I didn't want to just write a story, right? I wanted to make this an implementable book to help people that own a business. So I would tell my story or my in the chapter. And at the end of the chapter, I'd say how you would go out and make this actionable in your business.
Indeed. Interesting, Mr. Chad. So are there any characters that you particularly relate to a personal level?
No, I'm the book. You got my, but I mean, in the beginning, you have my grandpas, and yes. If you read the opening book, the tale of my two grandpas, really the moral of the story is they were both solopreneurs. One was happy being a solopreneur, and one really had dreams of being an entrepreneur but never made it. And so, and I love both my grandpas, and it just came to me one day to talk about them. So they're in the book, and then, I mean. There's my mother who really worked her butt off her whole life for me, a single parent. My dad, who I love and am close to, was not he was a deadbeat financial dad. He was a good dad. And as a matter of fact, my mom and him have a good relationship to this day still, but he was not a good financial dad as I grew up. So we did not grow up with a lot of means. We got what we needed, and that was it. And so, but my mom, and of course, I mean, you got to have a wife that's supportive. My wife was part of my business. We started this business, not Chad. It was me and her in the world. And so here's a tip for everybody. If you're running a business, a service business, don't answer your phones in the field. Get your wife or spend the money and hire someone to answer the phones. Why? Because the phone calls that you make while you're with a client or you step away, it's going to cost you money. The biggest, fastest thing you can do to grow to where you're sustainable and making money is have somebody competent answering the phone in an office, even if they're just staring at the phone and they're only answering it 3 times a day. That is better than you answering it while you're driving, on a roof, washing a window, if you're a plumber in a bathroom, And so get someone answering your phones. And in my case, in a lot of guys' case, you and your spouse are going into business together, as a team, have her answer the phones. And I mean, let's face it, my wife in the beginning, we had small kids at the time. We have 5 daughters now, but we had at the time when we started, we had 1 daughter, and then we had our second one really soon in our second year of business. She'd be at Target answering the phones, but she would stop what she's doing, answer the phones, and she'd always laugh. People would always laugh if they heard in Target the announcement come on, aisle 6 something, and she would laugh, and then she'd say, well, we're a small business at the time. And the people never cared because she was at least giving them the attention of the phone call. Why? Even though she may have been at Target. But that's the difference between being at Target or being on a roof. Let me get off the roof and go to my truck. It just doesn't sound good, right? But she had the full attention of doing it that way. So that's a big tip I suggest everybody to do.
Mr. Judd, and very well said. Beautifully articulated. And As an author and entrepreneur, what will be your short-term and long-term goals?
Help as many people as I can. I mean, that's always, I want to help as many people as I can be successful, win. I mean, part of everything in life is, can you win? You're not going to win every day, right? But you have to keep that mindset to win. As a matter of fact, I have a weight loss doctor. I've lost 40 pounds in the last 3 months, and I kind of got lazy here. I've been stuck at the weight I'm at for about 3 weeks now, and he told me a little story, a little Jesus parable, a Bible parable about something about the mustard seed. If you know the Bible, I don't know it as well. How it tells the mulberry bush to go throw itself in the water. Something I don't know, but the parable is this: your
Yes.
mouth is your rudder. Okay, so if you speak it, you got to realize all your actions are going to follow that way. So if you are always being negative or something like that, or you're always having one mindset problem in your business, change it. And I want everyone to understand that's the fastest way you can change your life is by helping other people and just by giving them easy advice of, your tongue is your rudder. Walk it. You'll walk that path if you talk that path. And when I help people, that's one of the first things I try to tell them is if you walk the walk, you better talk the talk. And so, because if you don't, your actions, your actions are never going to follow up with your mouth says. There are people who talk and don't walk the walk, for sure. There's more of those, for sure. But you got to start talking it first, in your own mind that you're doing it. But I want to help as many people, really, to build their business to where it's not such chaos, to where there's so much struggle out there. I want you to help you get your cash flow right. I want to help you, be able to sell better, how to train faster, how to hire faster, how to let go of employees faster that you hold on too long, how to really start to know your numbers, and how to build in today's day, how to start using AI. I mean, I use AI every day in my service business. People don't realize I'm a service business. How do you use AI? Well, it's not in the book yet because I haven't. It's all come up afterwards. But you got to stay up on the times, right? And how to do that, as you're still running your business, it's tough. That's why you have to talk to other people, and you have to spend time to work on the business. Such an overplayed thing in coaching, but working on the business is everything. So if you're still out in the field, you need to take Fridays off. I suggest take Fridays off. Work on the business on Fridays. Work Monday through Thursday, and then take Fridays off and work on it. And then your whole goal there is get out of the field, because you can manage yourself managing 4 or 5 guys out in the field better than you can just manage yourself and manage one other person out in the field. So get out of the field. That's my biggest suggestion that you should do.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Chad, and looking for more success. If you could sum up the book's message in one sentence, what would it be?
You can do it. You can do it. That even if you've been failing or you have been stuck somewhere, listen, I literally came from a trailer court in Wisconsin, was shipped back and forth to Texas my whole life. I had to start over in Texas every year with trying to find friends, and I knew at some point in time I was going to own my own business. And your message is this: if I can do it, I know you can do it. And you hear that at times, but the fact of the matter really, really is, people, audience, is if you really do want it, you'll go get it. But you have to go get yourself in trouble to do it, right?
Yes, definitely. And Mr. Chad, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in 5th season, abstract poetry in 2nd season, and of course my book 101 review in its 5th season, comedy 101 in 2nd season, food 101 in its 5th season too, and geography 101 and love letters in 3rd season, and my baby podcast mental health 101, movie 101 review, and music 101 in its 4th season. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Chad, what advice you give to readers who are inspired to seek their own operation freedom in life?
I mean, really, if you want it and you're going to procrastinate, you got to get out of your own head. You got to just make it actionable. And that where we come right back to where I just said it a little second ago, is you got to, in your mind, you'll get yourself in trouble. You got to take a risk. I mean, a lot of people who are risk takers try to become risk takers. They're scared to go do it because they just don't have the confidence in themselves. And the fact of the matter is you're never going to know if you don't try. So go do it. You can.
Do it and try and try and try until you succeed. Mr. Chad Murray, thank you so much for sharing your book to the world, as well as being a coach and, of course, entrepreneur. So can you please invite our listeners to support all your projects in life?
Yes. So if you're interested in having me coach you, go to www, and you have to use the W's for some reason.
Yes.
.chadmurray.biz. And that's CHADMURRAY.biz. You know, you can also go on Amazon and get my book. You just gotta go ahead and just search for Operation Entrepreneur Freedom. And of course, please leave me a review.
Yes. We need that, people. Review. And Mr. Chad Murray, thank you so much for your time. And people, let's support Mr. Chad, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering coaching to come, and for sure, more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Chad, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
Welcome, people. See you soon.